Hi there again. My name is Mwai, pastor with Christ is the Answer Ministries, and I'm here talking with my good friend and fellow pastor, Pastor Pete, and we've been having some exciting discussions just around the whole issue of worship, about music and creative arts and what have you, and we want to continue in this conversation. And there's so many things to say, but we may not have all the time, but I want to believe that even the things at least we've been able to discuss, at least you have been challenged and you have learned a few things. On this particular broadcast, we want to take this conversation again, just from a different angle. And we want to talk about especially what Pastor Pete calls the cult of worship, which is a very interesting concept. There was a time, Pastor Pete, if you remember, that if you went to church,
Yes.
you went to church on a Sunday morning, or maybe it was a youth rally, whatever the case may be, the worship team will come up there and they will do their thing, they will lead the worship and everything. If you did not shed tears, especially I remember that time, you had to shed tears, all right, whether you're a man or a woman. If you did not shed tears, you were looked at like you did not really worship, or you will hear, I still hear those comments, oh, in that worship today, I didn't connect. Oh no, in the worship today, it just didn't work for me.
Right.
I didn't get breakthrough. So in other words, sometimes when we make those kind of comments, and I know they're made out of sincerity, so we are not here to criticize anybody, they're made out of sincerity. But doesn't that sometimes suggest that my worship is subject to the worship, is conditioned by the worship team, is conditioned by the gifting of the worship team and the preparedness of the worship team and what have you. And of course, yes, I do appreciate there's a place for good music, because again, I also don't want to go to church and the worship team did not prepare, the songs are hardly making any sense.
Yes.
And people are not keeping keys, and the band is playing all over the place. We also appreciate good, excellent stuff, right?
Absolutely.
But just speaking to that, just talk to me about the whole thing about the cult of worship.
Let me give some definition to
Yes.
it. When I talk about the cult of worship, when we use the word cult,
Yes.
a lot of people think about this charismatic leader who's misleading people.
Yeah.
But I really feel that we've tapped into a thing where many in our generation are going from worship experience to worship experience to worship experience.
Yes.
And they're really looking for something. And what it is, it's a high. And it's really based on something sensual. Because they didn't get it in church, I'm going to this place.
Okay.
And I say that in a way, we are bordering on something extremely dangerous.
Yes.
Where our worship is really determined by my sensual experience.
Okay.
That if I felt something, I felt that thing.
Goosebumps.
I felt the worship today.
Yeah.
That's in the sensory realm.
That's right.
Back to the whole biblical. What was worship in Jesus' church?
Exactly. Yeah.
What was that like?
Yes.
And we have very little in terms of that. In fact, in the entire Gospels, all we hear of singing is that one time that they went to the upper room, sang a hymn, and that is not to say that a hymn is more sanctified than a praise and worship song.
It's not.
What I'm really driving at is this. I feel that the New Testament church in the 21st century, sub-Saharan, urban Africa, needs to find an expression that honors God.
That's right.
First.
Yes.
And that, remember, in a previous episode, we talked about worship being a posture of the heart. So our audience is primarily first the Lord, number one. But number two, that my heart and the posture of my heart is given to a place of humility and gratitude.
That's right.
Before I say a thing.
True. Yeah.
And so then, whether the worship team gets it or not, I'm already in audience with the Lord.
Yeah.
And I feel that is a very important place.
Yes.
Now, and because we lack something in our personal walk or maybe in the church, now we're looking for experiences. And I went to this worship experience.
Yes.
Man, that worship was powerful.
It was amazing.
But and that's not to knock if you call your thing an experience or what have you. Yeah. In fact, we've now graduated from experience. We're now going to encounter. you know, and then we'll call it something else.
Yes, yes.
And these, to me, I think are fads more than truth.
That's true.
What is the truth? The truth is God still wants worshippers who will worship Him in spirit and in truth. And I think I've said this in a couple of previous episodes. I think it's important for us to get into that space where, Pastor Jesse, we meet with the Lord.
That's right.
If you look at the experience in the Acts of the Apostles and the Gospels, there was a man who was healed. He was not healed in the church.
No.
And the commandment of Jesus, the Great Commission, wasn't come.
Yeah.
What was the commission?
It was go.
Go ye.
That's right.
But now what have we? You need to come. You need to come. When the disciples were coming out of their private experience, on the way to the corporate experience, they met a lame man.
That's right.
And the overflow of their private experience healed a man. Healed a man.
That's right.
The overflow of their private experience.
Yeah.
And then they were called to the Sanhedrin and said, give us a reason for why you preach what it is that you're saying. Says if we're being called to account for the healing of a man, where is the power, Pastor Jesse? From all these encounters and experiencing that we're having, where is the power? I'm waiting for the day that the overflow of that will spontaneously combust and come into the space where somebody says, he was not called forward, but he experienced the healing.
Exactly.
And I think it is important for us to come to that place where healing is the sign of the presence of God, rather than it's the witness, rather than the thing that we're really chasing. And I think we're really chasing the wrong thing.
I think so too.
We're chasing the wrong thing, that we really need to look for Christ. We really need to focus on the Word and keep it central to what it is that we do. That even in the worship, I feel skilled musicians should come to that space.
Yes, definitely.
And we can get into should they be paid, should they be not, another time. I think that I should be blessed enough to be able to give myself. For the longest time, Pastor Jesse, we talk about a price. You know, I have young people who come and say, you know, Aki, I want to say, these guys are doing me wrong. I think that the ox should not muzzle the ox as it's treading the corn. But here was the thing. There was no culture when I was growing up of paying musicians. But I was still there. We were, you know, that pastor doesn't understand me. My pastor didn't understand me, but I stayed in the same place. And I feel that the true test of worship is persecution.
Exactly. You're right.
When the disciples in the early church were persecuted, they still worshiped. Here was Paul and Silas after getting a beating. They're in the prison. I'd say to our generation, after getting the kind of beating and you are in prison, would you still
do it?
And the Bible says at midnight, at midnight, they got up and they were praising and worshiping in the prison.
In the prison.
Not to get them out. They want praise. I will praise until the gates open. No.
They're not praising for a breakthrough.
That's not what they were doing. They were giving thanks to God that they were counted worthy
to even suffer.
And this is suffering, long waiting, patience. This is not a conversation in our generation.
No, it's not. You know, it's interesting when you look at when you try to study worship, especially from a biblical perspective, you know, biblical worship. The Apostle Paul writes and says, writing to the Romans, he says that we are to offer our bodies as a living sacrifice,
chapter 12,
holy and acceptable. And he says this is our spiritual act of worship. Now you have to ask yourself, what is an altar? Because you see, he picks up the picture of that Old Testament, you know, sacrifice. What is an altar? An altar, by the way, is a place of death. We normally say an altar is a place of worship. That is good, yes, but it's a place of death. It means that if I'm going to worship, I must first die.
Worship
There's
is
no
death.
worship; it's actually death. What does that death mean? I'm not talking about physical death, per se, but
That's
I'm saying
powerful.
I have to die to my flesh. I have to die to sin. I have to die to my carnal desires. In other words, it's not about fulfilling the lusts of the flesh. It is me dying. Or identifying with Christ.
Isn't our generation so full of carnality, this whole carnal idea that I'm alive, it's me, my dress, my choice, it's about me.
Yeah, makes me feel good.
So we've now become the object of worship.
Exactly.
I call that anthropotheism.
Exactly.
We have now come to the place where I am the center of the worship experience. And that is a tragedy, because now Jesus Christ is no longer the center. What did Jesus say? If a man should follow me, he must first do what? Take up his cross and follow me. What does that mean? The cross
is a place of death.
Is a place of death. So for me, I think that I think you've summarized it very well.
Yes.
Worship is dying.
It's dying.
And understanding that then takes it away from just my corporate experience on Sunday to my personal daily work, where I say, what are you teaching me, Lord? This is such a hard situation. This is a hard situation. This is the third layoff. What are you teaching me, Lord? I'm learning how to submit to it. And that's primarily, isn't that what the Greek word is? To prostrate yourself and kiss the King's feet.
Exactly. That's the point. That's what worship is all about.
Is to die.
And I pray that we can recapture that aspect of worship.
Right.
And I really believe that will revolutionize our corporate worship when we come together, because it will just be a bunch of dead people.
Right. But
coming Jesse, prostrating before God.
Right, absolutely.
Saying, hey, it's about you.
Pastor Jesse, I believe that there's a generation now rising up. A tattooed generation with multicolored hair and ripped jeans who are coming into an experience, allow me to use the word experience, and an encounter with the real Jesus. And the overflow of that in our generation will be astounding. It'll be astounding. I believe that God is calling worshippers out of clubs, out of pubs, out of banking halls, out of the various places. And He's going to transform their hearts. And they're going to say, my worship is not going to be restricted into the four walls of the church. And when the world starts to see the submission, when we talk about worship as the submission of these creative people in this new generation, the world will be changed. The Spirit of God will move from the place that we're bottling Him up like a genie and saying, stay in the bottle, stay in the bottle, stay in the bottle. Oh, how He longs to be poured out onto the street. How He longs to be poured out into the banking sector. How He longs to be poured out into entertainment. God is longing for it. He said, you are restricting me. When they tried to put Him in a box. When they tried to put Him in a box in that tabernacle, Solomon said it like this: He cannot be restricted to a building. He filled the whole universe. That's the God who we serve. And when we worship this real God, when we begin to worship this real God, not the God who will give me a Mercedes and a BMW and a new house or what have you, that Lord, even if I never get any of these things, I will serve you. I will serve you.
If it kills me, I will still worship.
Oh, what did Job say? Though He slay me. Though it kills me.
If it kills me.
That doesn't mean that I have to now frustrate the other worshippers till they feel pain. No, what that really means is that the posture of my heart is that it's more important to me than life.
Exactly. And I wish we would, and I pray and I know, as you said, God is taking us back there. Let's finish by saying this. The place of corporate worship is very important.
Right.
Because again, the apostle, we don't know who wrote the book of Hebrews. But if it was the apostle Paul, he said that it's not good for us to neglect the coming together.
Right.
But the question that sometimes we have also to keep answering is this: when they came together, because we are a New Testament church, what was it for? 4 things, and let's keep it simple because we've complicated church. They came together according to the book of Acts chapter 2. It was for prayer,
for the word,
fellowship, the word, and what else?
And worship.
That's it. All right. I mean, they did not come to church for, so those 2 hours, 1.5 hours that we come together is really for us to be in touch with one another. It's for us to pray together. To sit at the apostles' teaching, the word of God. And by the way, the breaking of bread also. The Lord's table. That is it. But I feel that we've also complicated church. So now we have, can I just say this, and I know I'll get into trouble. We have motivational speakers coming to our churches. We have trying to have an opera kind of, talk show kind of a deal happening in church. That's not church. I keep saying, let's keep church simple. Those are the things. The world is good at entertainment. All right. Let the world do their thing. Let's just do. When we come together, let's come and pray together, fellowship one with another, sit at the apostles' teaching, and break bread together. Simple. parting shot, Pastor Pete.
Wow, this has been great. Yeah. I feel we've only scratched the surface concerning worship.
Yes.
But I want to say and bring us back to that place that worship is firstly a posture of the heart.
Yes.
Our private worship is what determines our public worship. Exactly. So my private worship should be, my first audience should be the Lord. Yes. He's the beginning and the end. He really is the Alpha and Omega. He's the Alpha, the beginning of my worship, and the end. He's who I seek in the worship. Yes. He's my Alpha, the beginning, the one who began it. He's the one. While we were yet sinners, Christ died. Exactly. He looked for me before I was looking for him. Yes. And he loved me when I was unlovable. And this is whom I give my life to. This is who my life lives. I live for. That's my part of short. Let's keep it about him.
Thank you, Pastor Pete. This has been amazing.
Thank you for having me, Pastor Jesse.
You've been watching Sit on Church Online. The past few episodes, we've been talking with Pastor Pete just around the worship. Listen, we want to hear from you. Tell us whether this has been helpful to you. What else can we do? I'm sure Pastor Pete will be happy, you know, to come back. And as we've already mentioned, there is so much. There's so much more. If there are things that maybe we did not touch on, and maybe you're saying, hey, you know, guys, I would like you to maybe touch on this. Please guide us on that. We will be more than happy to do so, but we need to hear from you. So also, I mean, why don't you also share maybe this video with other people? Sure. They might be able to be helped the same way you've been helped. But thank you so much for watching, and we are grateful that you took time to be with us here at CITAM Church Online. May the Lord bless you. Until next time.